Welcome to the Anxiety Connection. If you've ever struggled with anxiety and are ready to finally get some answers, you've come to the right place. Hi, my name is Wendy Leeds, and I've suffered with anxiety my entire life. Thankfully, I'm also a psychotherapist, and over the years, I've learned a lot about anxiety, where it comes from, and how to manage it. That's what this podcast is all about. So, let's grab a cup of tea and talk about it. All right, I'm going to admit something today I have never admitted in public before. In fact, this is something I've been hiding for most of my life. Are you ready to know my big secret? I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I mess up. I do things I regret. I forget things. I lose things. And I have a terrible sense of direction. There are probably a whole lot of other things I do badly, but you get the idea. And why am I sharing this now? Because in the last few weeks, I've been putting the final touches on my book, Common Sense, A Woman's Guide to Anxiety-Free Living. I've been working on this book for years. It is a labor of love like you wouldn't believe. I've poured my heart and soul into it. So I want it to be perfect for you. I want you to love the cover. I want it to help heal your anxiety. I want this book to be a game changer for anxious women and men everywhere. I want it to be perfect for you. And to tell the truth, I want it to be perfect for me too. Because if I make it perfect, you won't know my secret. And that's, I'm not perfect. And to be honest with you, this need to write a perfect book and create the perfect podcast is making me crazy. And I have been told it's making the people around me crazy as well. I see some smiles. So I've decided to talk about this with you for me, and because I happen to know I'm not the only one on this planet who needs to be perfect. Maybe you do too. Maybe, like me, you've been struggling to hide your imperfections. I made a mistake. Your feeling of shame or embarrassment at feeling less than everyone else, and the anxiety of trying to measure up. And I don't know about you, but frankly, I am sick and tired of it. I want to stop this desperate attempt to hide behind the facade of always being perfect and always being anxiety-free, because I'm not. I want to get this off this hamster wheel of living in fear that I'll make a mistake and the need to keep doing things until I do it right. And if you do too, stick around, because today I'm going to talk about why we need to be perfect, how we got that way, and what we can do to change it. And if you're living with someone who's on the perfect treadmill, you might want to keep listening. I think it can be really helpful to understand what's going on with this perfection thing, and maybe some insight will help your relationship. So let's begin by figuring out where this need to be perfect might be coming from. And to do that, I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank at the end of this sentence. No right or wrong answer. Just, if I'm not perfect, then what? What was the first thing that came to your mind? Because I think that answer is going to give us a clue as to what is really causing all this need to be perfect. For instance, if you answered with the name of a person who might be disappointed in you if you aren't perfect, a parent, a sibling, your boss, maybe the struggle is just to please them. Maybe like me, when you were young, you were responsible for everyone else's well-being. And maybe you felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. I couldn't bear to let the people depending on me down. Maybe same for you. So I worked extra hard to take care of everyone. It was my job to show up and make everybody else's life work. And I'm still doing it. Maybe you lived in an abusive situation when you were young, and being perfect was a way to keep you and the people around you from getting hurt. Your safety depended on not making mistakes. Maybe your answer was more in line of, if I'm not perfect, then everyone will know I'm a fraud. Or the world will know I'm really anxious all the time. I'm walking around afraid. And that's supposed to be a secret because good girls and boys, smart girls, successful boys, don't have anxiety, don't have shame, and don't walk around feeling inferior. And if I work hard enough, if I double check my work, if I don't make a single mistake, no one will know I'm anxious or I'm such a failure or a loser, and I can keep my little secret safe. Maybe that sounds familiar to you, maybe not. The need to be perfect, it can come from all sorts of different sources. Those are some of the big ones. And the truth is, this kind of need to be perfect has a really complicated relationship with anxiety. Perfectionism can be both the cause of anxiety or a symptom that you're anxious. But no matter how it shows up for you, I want you to know, we're not crazy people. There are benefits to doing this perfect thing. And it certainly when it started out, it maybe ensured that the people around you loved you. You literally were earning their love by being perfect. Maybe it kept you safe. Maybe it kept you hidden from shame or embarrassment. There are still some benefits to being perfect. We perfectionists can be counted on to get things done. If, someone needs something done, they call us. We're competent, organized, detail-oriented, and motivated, which are great qualities. My perfectionism asked me to check things over more than once. And I got to admit, that has saved me some pretty embarrassing, careless errors. So we perfectionists may get things done. We have some good qualities, but boy, do we pay a price. Years ago, the need for me to be perfect caused me to put off anything I knew I wasn't going to be able to do well. Schoolwork, projects, conversations, planning, anything that made me slightly nervous or anxious, I put aside. I procrastinated until things became emergencies. I don't know if that sounds like you, but it would be a crisis. I'd have to rush my way through, angry at myself, never doing my best, just getting by, which is really tough for someone who wants to be perfect. The other thing I'd do was quit in the middle of any project that wasn't going perfectly. I have half done sewing projects, half written stories. Anything I could see wasn't going to turn out perfectly, I didn't bother to finish. Because if it's not perfect, not worth doing. So how about you? Are you white-knuckling your way through life thinking, I just don't want to be wrong. I just don't want to make a mistake. Please, please let me get this right. Well, if like me, you're ready to make a change, let's start with this new way of thinking about things. That this is to just shift your thinking a little. Picture yourself in third grade. Your teacher asks you to write 3 paragraphs about how you spent your summer vacation. She tells you you have to write the whole thing in ink, no crossing out, no mistakes, and you have 10 minutes to finish or else. How do you feel about that assignment? I'm starting to sweat. All right, let's give you some different life instructions here. What if the assignment is to take your time writing those paragraphs? What if you were told your work didn't have to be in ink and you were given one of those yellow pencils with a big fat pink eraser on the end you could use to correct your mistakes? Do you feel different about the assignment? Do you feel the shift and the difference? What if you stopped forcing yourself to live your life as if you had to write everything in ink, as if any mistake would be a disaster? and I am talking to myself here. What if you started allowing yourself to write in pencil, knowing you had an eraser at the ready? Here are 5 things we can do to help put down the pen and pick up the pencil. Step 1 is just to begin noticing the circumstances, any circumstance where you feel the need to be perfect. Notice it and ask yourself, is this need helping me or is it making my life more difficult? What would this project, what would my life look like if I were able to let go of this need? Take a minute and think about it. Would your life be better? Are you ready to let go of this need? If you decide you are, if you're going to join me here, please tell yourself you're going to do it with a gentle heart and easy, loving steps. We have all had enough of the yelling, the shaming, the threatening. From here on in, we are going to respect and support ourselves with compassion. We are going to treat ourselves kindly as we begin to make some positive changes. All right, the next step has made such a difference in my life. Now, I'm a New England girl, born and brought up to be fiercely independent. I was taught from my earliest days, never, ever, ever admit weakness or, heaven forbid, ask for help. You have to do everything yourself, and I mean everything. When I went through treatment for breast cancer, I was, for the most part, pretty stoic and silent about all the fear and worry. Years later, when I went through treatment for leukemia, I learned better. I knew how important it was to ask for help, and reaching out to others for love and support made a big difference then. And I think it's really critical in getting support in this process of letting go. So if you're serious about this, I suggest you join me in asking for help. And here's what I've decided. I'm going to tell people, this is it. And this will shock them. This is it. I'm not going to be perfect anymore. I'm done with that. I'm going to explain why, just the way I'm doing here with you. Because here's what I've learned about people. If and when you're willing to admit your imperfections, people almost universally respond with some compassion and understanding. We're all human. And sometimes your courage in admitting your shortcomings gives them the courage to admit the same. Can't tell you how many people I've admitted my anxiety to who have said back, me too. So give it a try. You might be surprised. All right, so I'm telling you here and now, I'm not going to be perfect here or anywhere else. This is my declaration. My book will not be perfect. The anxiety connection will not be perfect. And now that I've admitted it, I hope you will support me in my imperfection, and I would be honored to support you in yours. That's what we're here about. My third suggestion can really help in overcoming procrastination, if that's an issue for you the way it is for me. If you're overwhelmed by just the idea of having to start or to finish something scary, like writing a book, doing taxes, or for me, finding directions or my way across country, here's a trick that will change everything for you. For me, this works like magic. The trick is to break these big, scary projects into small, manageable tasks. Things you know you can do easily. For instance, if I said to you, you have to write a book, you might be a little bit overwhelmed. But what if I said you just have to write a chapter or just a page? And guess what? If you wrote a page every day at the end of the year, you would have a book. So break that big thing down into things that you know you can do. And I want to throw a little trick in here that I've learned to get you started on those days when you are sitting there having the, I think I should, but I don't want to. I can, but I can't. I will, but I won't argument with yourself. Here's the trick. Just do that thing you've been putting off. Just do it for 10 minutes. That's all. Now, you may not be able to wrestle yourself into a chair to start your taxes if you know you're going to spend the day at it. But I bet you'd sit down for 10 minutes. I think you can stand to do anything for 10 minutes. So when you can't get started, take out the 10-minute rule and see how well it works. I think it's great. This brings me to my next suggestion. And this one's tough for me. I sort of put it off for last. And I'm hoping we can tackle this together. All right, here it is. Lower expectations. I know, I said it was tough. But imagine what your life would look like if you could just set yourself free from that prison of impossible expectations. How many times have we set ourselves up to fail by promising things that are just impossible for us to do? Maybe you've heard the expression under promise and over deliver. I think that makes such good sense for those of us trying to get off the I'm always perfect wheel. Instead of setting our usual goal of getting this done without a mistake or doing everything perfectly, what if we allowed ourselves to just show up, do our best, stop, and let go of the outcome? You're probably saying, Wendy, I know, easy to say, really tough to do. But lowering expectations for ourselves and for the people around us, because we can be a little bit tough on them too. Letting go of the goal of always needing to be perfect can make such a dramatic difference in how we feel about ourselves, our work, and the world in general. The last step is to take a look at the language we're using to describe this need to be perfect. What do you tell yourself as you tackle something a little bit scary, or you're in the middle of something that just isn't going well? Do you say something like, I just want to get this right. It would be so embarrassing. Please, oh please, I couldn't stand the shame. Do you see that kind of language really gets in your way? It just doesn't solve anything. It doesn't make anything better, and it freezes you with fear. What if you could change that language and actually tell the truth about you and the entire human condition? And here it is. Nobody's perfect, including me. Say it with me. Nobody's perfect, including me. Instead of saying, this better be perfect, if not, people are going to be disappointed or angry with me, why not try saying, I'll just do my best, and I'll let it go at that? Do you feel how changing what you say to yourself can change the way you feel, help you relax, do your best, and then let go of the outcome? I know, making mistakes doesn't feel very good. In fact, I know from personal experience, it can be downright awful. But it doesn't make us bad, it doesn't make us wrong, and it doesn't make us failures. What it makes us is a card-carrying member of the human race. It means we're living, we're taking risks, and we're doing things we never thought we could do, like writing a book or hosting a podcast. Who would have known that I would be doing this? So let's agree. We're going to take some steps to move past the need to be perfect. We're going to admit we're not perfect to ourselves, to each other, and the world in general. We're going to love ourselves anyway and embrace our very human selves with love and compassion. And finally, we're going to put down that pen once and for all, pick up that number 2 pencil with the big pink eraser, and get busy writing some wonderful lives for ourselves. Now, if you'd like to get on the wait list for your copy of my imperfect book, Common Sense, A Woman's Guide to Living Anxiety Free, which is coming soon. We'll provide a link to my website, wendyleeds.com. There's a wait list there for you. I want to make sure you have your copy. And if the book is already out by the time you're hearing this, yay, you can just go right over there and get your copy right away. No waiting for you. Thank you so much for being an important part of this journey with me. If you'd like to join us here at the Anxiety Connection, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed our time together, I'd be honored if you write me a review. Until we're together again, I wish you peace, joy, and love.